All right, here we are, back on my podcast.
Yeah, been a while.
Yeah, people. It's It's like, how do I introduce you? My dad, Hickok45.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
who
that's
I am.
what I called you when I was a kid. I called you Hickok45.
That's right. When you were a baby,
Yeah,
I taught you how to say it.
yeah, exactly. That was my first words.
That's right. Daddy 45.
Yeah, it was funny. People ask me that question all the time. Where does that Hickok45 name come from? And it's funny how people don't know. I mean, it's Wild Bill Hickok, and then 45, and it was like a screen name that you started in like 97 or something.
Yeah. Long before this, doing the Hickok 45 videos.
Yeah,
I'd read several books about Wild Bill, and being a shooter most of my life, I was interested in the Wild West and all those gunfighters and that kind of thing, and read several books about Hickok, and I admired him as a great shooter,
right.
Because I'm sure some of what we've heard, even what has been written about him, is myth, but by and large, he was the real deal. He was a pistolero, the prince of the pistoleros, as he was called. He strong reputation for being able to shoot a handgun, and handguns were my favorite. And that's why I was interested. And, since then too, I've learned more about him.
Yeah,
And through documentaries and reading, and he had a lot to be admired.
right.
He was born in the North, in Illinois, I think, and his family was very involved in the Underground Railroad, freeing slaves. And he was an officer in the Union and all
Thank
that kind of
God.
thing. Now, I'm sure there's some good old Southern boys would hate him, but,
Thank God. Yeah. Imagine if there was like a big thing that came out where Wild Bill Hickok was getting canceled, right? I mean, it happens with historical figures where they dig up something and they're like, "Oh, look, this guy was a monster," and then our whole brand is kind of based on it a little bit. We'd have to be like, "Oh, Hickok? No, that's not Wild Bill Hickok. That's something else."
He wore the wrong color shoes or something. Yeah. So, scandal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'd, if we knew everything he did, I'm sure he did some things that would not make certain people happy these days.
Well,
I would guarantee you.
Who could you name that wouldn't have done something?
Said
something.
Yeah. It is tough when like John Wayne, right? Apparently John Wayne was very racist. I'm sure he was. I'm sure.
Born in 1905 or something.
I know, that's the thing. It's like I can't totally fault people for not wanting to watch his movies because of that, but canceling him, it's like, what's the point of progress if we're just gonna like cut off? We're just gonna keep like eliminating everything from the past as we improve as a society.
Take all the good and throw it out with the bathwater. The baby in the bathwater. There's so many people, that we're all the victims. Too strong a word, but we're all a product of our times.
Right.
Just like a lot of these idiots, in colleges demonstrating on things, and hopefully they'll look back in 20 years and, where was my brain?
Right.
I mean, you get caught up in our environments.
Yeah.
And I'm old enough that even you probably, but I'm old enough that I remember people in my family. I mean, like my dad or grandparents or whoever, where if some of the things they would say or their attitudes about whatever, maybe certain minorities, whatever, that they grew up with, just like John Wayne or other people. Things, no malice in their hearts or anything, but just things they might have said or a joke they might have told that was just so common that no one thought anything about it because that's just what people did in that era.
Yeah.
And I think it shows a little bit of a lack of imagination to not, see that and think about that.
Right.
He was born back then. And even if you go back to the founding fathers, I mean, they were geniuses, but they were a product of their times. Things that were okay then, we think are atrocious now.
Right. That's one of the biggest ironies it is my belief, and yours too, of course, that like the Second Amendment is one of the things that I think can keep us from being enslaved by power structures that find a way of popping up in the world, right? But the Second Amendment was written by slave owners.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
First Amendment. I mean, the
right?
whole thing.
Exactly. You know, so
It's hard for us to understand.
we're gonna it's like we're gonna throw it all out because of that, right?
Yeah.
Like two things can be what's that saying? Like two things can be true at the same time, where it's like
Right.
in the same way that the Nazis were evil,
Yeah.
but rocket technology was good.
Exactly.
You know, I mean,
yeah, I talk about that a lot on Sundays about I was a
you'll bring the
English
mic. Bring the
I
mic a little closer.
was an English major and studied a lot of great writers and admired a lot of them and probably most of them wouldn't want to sit down and have a beer with, or we'd be in big arguments about things and many of them would have thought it horrible that someone could have firearms like I do or you do or just whatever topic you want to come up with. And singers, some of the rock stars I just truly love.
Oh yeah.
We would disagree on a lot of things. I just been able to take the best of people, I think, and it's a little selfish, but I want the best of people. I don't want to just throw them away because they had negatives, because everybody has negatives, including me, I'm sure.
Right, because you got guys that understandably will say things like, man, if someone, like they got a young teenage daughter, it's like, man, someone messed with my daughter, I don't care. I'm going to take them out. I don't care if I go to jail for life, right? And it's understandable to have that perspective, being a father, and then they turn on their favorite band and some of those singers did some things with underage girls that they shouldn't have. You know what I mean? So it's we're all hypocrites on a certain level. And you kind of have to, if you hold everything that you consume, like or that's not a good way to put it, I guess. If you every art that you consume, if you hold that art based on who created it to the same standard that you live, you're going to have not very much art left.
You have no art. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. And all of us are guilty of being inconsistent. We almost can't live in this society. One of the comments that comes up a lot, if you see on any farm that we do a video on that's Chinese made, and I probably saw 3 yesterday, whatever, just Chinese junk. I wouldn't have that in my house. It's made in China. I'm an American, so I would buy the AR. We did that video recently comparing the AK and M16, whatever, and it happened to be a Chinese AK. But so that comes up a lot, and occasionally if I'm in the mood, I'll answer someone like that and just say that, okay, I wouldn't have one of those in my house, or you shouldn't be able to own a fully auto.
Oh, right.
You shouldn't be able to own something. Well, we'll all be over to your house this afternoon, and we'll decide what you're allowed to own that you have in your house.
Right.
Or in the case of the Chinese product, or something made somewhere else. Okay, we'll all be over to your house and see where everything in your house was made, and we'll help you move off away the stuff that was not made in this country. I mean, you just can't be a purist on that kind of stuff.
It's always people with that stuff that know enough to be dangerous. It's always that category of person that has the strongest opinions. The Chinese AK thing too is one of my favorites because with minimal research, you find out that a lot of experts on the AK, doesn't mean it's true, but they will say that the Chinese AKs are the best ones.
Yeah.
So that at least means they're good.
That's right. And
highly
you and
respectable
I have discovered
people,
that. We've got the AKs. And
I like them.
They're well made. Yeah.
So when you see people make that comment, they're like, "Oh, this is junk. This is Chinese crap." It's just objectively wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not the best. Maybe you could make a case for the Russian ones, or there's some other country that maybe they're the best because of this certain reason. But it's very clear that they're one of the best. So to say that it's one of the worst, we just know you're wrong, and you look like an asshole.
It just shows you don't really know AKs.
It does.
I mean, I would never say that. I don't think about any firearm unless I'd had a lot of experience with it, and through trial and error, that has been my experience.
Right.
And then I would say that, I think.
Yeah.
But well, how people are, and you hate to put too much weight into something someone writes on the internet. They're sitting around having 5 beers, or they're 17 years old, and they're just saying something to be saying at some time. But then sometimes you got somebody who's my age or your age, and they're a know-it-all, so you don't know who it is.
Right. You tend to, and you've made this point I know many times, just conversations we've had. You tend to think that the person commenting is like the people that you know in your regular life. But if you actually met that person, you'd never take what they said seriously.
If you had a special camera, you could zoom in on them when they're typing that comment. Oh, okay. They got a pile of Cheetos on the keyboard and they're, in their mom's basement or whatever the case might be. It would be interesting if we had that technology, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they already do, unfortunately. We just don't have access
to it. Somebody might be watching it already.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny, though. I've said that in videos before, even in the main gun videos and probably on Sundays or whatever. But I'll just get to yakking, being silly and say, okay, Ralph, I see you're at the computer and you're eating a pizza, got to listen to this, just something like that, trying to be funny. I think I'm a comedian too, right? And then someone will answer, how'd you know I was eating pizza, or my name is Ralph and I am, and occasionally that probably has caught somebody named Ralph eating pizza at their computer. The chances are maybe
That's what's fun about that. Yeah.
I know. That's one reason we do it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I know we've told this story before on different things, but it's still, I don't know if anything will top that time. We were in, what was the name of that town? It's like that town in, is it Arizona and New Mexico that was settled by the Germans? Wickenburg. Is that Arizona? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Wickenburg, Arizona.
North of Phoenix.
Yeah, and we were staying at this hotel, and we were like packing up or something to leave, and we were standing in the parking lot, and then this guy like walked up.
Yeah, we were moving in. I think we had just having a cigar.
Yeah, that's right. And this guy walked up and recognized you, and didn't think too much about it at first. It was like, okay, he's seen the videos, but he was like, then he started telling us that his house was
he lived right there over the wall.
Yeah, he lived right on the other side of the wall, and he was literally just watching the video. I think he had just discovered him.
He saw us out the window.
Yeah, but I think he had just discovered the videos.
Yeah,
like that day. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, was it?
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that. But
we were parked by that wall. His house, there's like a little courtyard in the back of the wall, and he lived in that house, and we just happened to show up in his backyard.
Yeah,
it's funny. That was we've had a few of those over the years. It's funny. The another one that you weren't with me. Your mother and I were going out to California, to do the Tucker Carlson and follow-up interview. And we came through San Diego, and we had been driving all the way, I don't know, from Tucson or somewhere. We're deciding where to stay, and we were looking at the map, and we stopped. Let's just go up here. We were going to stay at this particular hotel, and I don't know, we decided not to, and we just pulled up to this in front of this driveway, and there were these apartments or condos there, and we just parked right in front of them, one in a space. And I pulled up, and it was getting along evening, 5 o'clock or something. And I noticed as we pulled in, and we were sitting there, tired, and some guy came out of his condo apartment with a dog. He was about to go take a walk, and he was coming kind of our way, I guess. And I got out to take my shirt off, or put my shirt on or stretch or what. I got out and stood up, and about that time he got over there to us, and he said, Hickok45, and I just immediately said, yeah, we knew you'd be out right now. We came by to see you. Or something. But I mean, the coincidence of it, those are the fun ones.
Absolutely.
Like the guy just came out to walk his dog, and here I pulled up to the front porch, to his front door. About 2,000 miles I drove to get to his front porch. But that one in Wickenburg was maybe number one. That was funny.
Yeah. My craziest one was one time I was at a strip club one time, and all the girls in there were like, "Are you Hickok45's son?" And I was like, God, I can't get privacy anywhere, Oh, no. So I just stopped going to strip clubs because it's like, it's just really. I want to, like, I don't go to a strip club to, for all the girls to know me and respect me. You
wouldn't be anonymous.
No. I have one. I've had weird ones. One time, I remember I went to trying to go to the bathroom at a gas station, and it was a one-holer, and I opened the door, and there's a guy in there who was very slow to be like, "Hey, I'm in here."
Yeah.
I just opened the door, and I was like, "Oh, whoa!" And he goes, "It's okay." What does that mean? I don't like that response.
Yeah. That's right.
And I closed the door. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's room for two. And I closed the door. And I was standing out there, I was waiting, and then he finally comes out, and he goes, "Hey, Hickok45. You're the guy from Hickok45, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I was standing at a urinal one time, and the guy came in. He was beside the urinal. He recognized me. Same thing. That's one of my nightmares. Suppose you want to shake hands, in the bathroom or whatever. But he kept talking to me the whole time. I was in the bathroom and out the door and all that. Generally, people though, they're very, sensible and I mean, of all the encounters we've had with people that watch your videos, like 99.9.9.9%, they're just, good folks. They're very, in fact, they're more standoffish in a way because they don't want to bother us, They go, I was going to come over, I used to get those all the time. I was going to come over and say something. I saw you in the restaurant, but I didn't want to bother you and that kind of thing. And I would say, no problem, just say hi. But, most people, rare. I don't even have it really stand out in my mind as being some really weird person. Like if you were a real celebrity, you'd have probably like once a day.
Yeah. I was thinking about that when we've especially back in the day when we've gone to like gun events where everyone there knows about our work and stuff because that's our world. And you think about how it's a little bit easier to understand like how like actual famous people lose their minds. Especially like these young child stars and stuff like that. I think about
because it's like us
when you're in your 20s,
an NRA meeting or something or a big gun show when almost everybody knows you, and that's that way everywhere they go. Just constant. They can't hide.
Right. Just think about the manufactured ego of most like really young people. And then you combine actually getting to not have to fake that, where it's like, oh, everyone does like me, everyone does want to be around me, and everything's being handed to me,
and you didn't have to earn it, any respect or
I mean, you might, whatever you are, you're an artist or actor, you may have worked very hard for that, so you did earn it to a degree, but it's still just.
Well, I'm talking about a child,
right? Your interactions with people,
a youngster,
that
hadn't done anything like the children of a celebrity. I've had experience with that, and it's tough because I've had them in my classroom in middle school, and it's just, I feel sorry for them almost because it's a very difficult thing to navigate.
Yeah,
people want to be your friend because of your dad or your mom or whatever.
And you obviously, like, I know who it is, but you can't say on the podcast. But I remember you telling me an interesting dynamic of that was that there was like a weird thing where if you were friends with this person, you got to do some pretty cool things.
Yeah, like fly Bermuda this weekend. Where's your other friends? You get to go to the drive-in, get some ice cream.
Right. So that's obviously going to create a lot of conflict.
Yeah, for a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, it's just
Yeah, people in general are the way that people interact. It gets pretty gross pretty easily.
Yeah,
it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. I see it in comedy. I remember I was on a comedy festival where there was like basically like one kind of celebrity comic on the festival, and it's mostly everyone else is kind of like locals or open micers like me, and the way that certain people, I've always been one to kind of shy away from that because that feels gross to me, but certain people were just swarming this comic, just swarming him. And comics are all insecure. He probably liked it. He probably thought it was cool, but still, it was just like, it was like gross to watch.
Because he or she has something to give there, maybe an opportunity.
Oh, right,
like
big time.
They're all wanting that chance, maybe to get on his show or to warm up for him or whatever it might be. So, And I saw that in the corporate world, with managers. The VP comes around or the top dog or whoever, and some people just. I was too much the other way because I didn't want to be like that. Just do my job, do my work, and if I do it well, I'll be noticed. I don't have to suck up to people and be fake. And it's not always true.
No, it's not.
Sometimes you do have to suck up to get
there. That's
the
unfortunate
reality.
reality.
I never did it, but I mean, it actually works. That's the sad thing about it sometimes.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean. You like to think that, let's say the example of a stand-up comedian, because obviously a successful comedian has a lot to offer anyone who is not successful by taking them on the road to open for them, right? Especially if they're big, it's just like you're a working comic now immediately overnight. You skipped all these steps. and you would like to think, and it's just probably like this for some of them, but you would like to think that they would be less likely to want to work with comics who kind of fanboy or fangirl out over them,
Yeah.
you know, and they would just sit in the back of the room when no one knew they were there, and they would see a comic that they liked and they thought was funny, and they would come up to them and be like, "Hey, I respect what you do. Why don't you come open for me?"
Yeah.
But comics are insecure. They like it. They like it. They like it when people freak out over them, and they want the attention because a lot of them are people who never felt like they were appreciated, and they need to be appreciated, and they kind of get off on it, you know.
And anybody's going, you know, to a certain extent, you can't deny, you know, like people, someone who likes you would be more fun to work with, or even if they're
oh yeah, of course,
you know,
of course,
you're going to go on the road with them and say, yeah, you know,
of course. But I've always I've never. Yeah, I don't like that's anything that's fake to me. It just feels icky.
Oh, I know it.
You know what I mean?
Really
I would be more likely to come across rude. I feel like almost to maybe not rude is extreme, but like I'm going to be standoffish to like
normal.
anyone famous.
Yeah.
In some degree, especially if they're in a position where I know I could get something from them,
right?
Because I don't want them to think that that's what I'm doing.
That's right.
You know?
And I always and I understand why people don't want to bother us sometimes, because as I've said, it's not a bother because we're not at that level where we're bothered. No. You know, but because I do the same thing. Nashville, of course, there's celebrities all around all the time, and I've been in restaurants in different places, and you know, someone you might like to say hi to or whatever, compliment their work or whatever. But yeah, they've been complimented all day. They've heard anything I have to say. I don't know. They don't know me. I'm nobody special. And so I'm not going to go up and bother them, you know. I've met, you know, I got a chance to say a couple words, you know, Johnny Cash one time. That was cool. And same thing. I didn't go crazy. It was getting him to sign a book, and it just, you know, just good to see you, you know. And
you gave him the idea for Ring of Fire, right?
Yeah, I did. I gave him some stuff I'd written up for him. Most of it came out on his next album.
Yeah,
but, you know, I didn't want to make a big deal. You know, Dolly Parton was in a little bitty restaurant. It was really just her around her entourage and me. You know, there's some things, but I just you talk to him.
What's it? Sorry to cut you off, but you know that I can't remember which NFL coach it is. I think it's Andy Reid. I'm pretty sure, but there's a story he tells about like a guy who, people who are listening have heard this, correct me in the comments, but like a janitor or something at the stadium that kept telling him every time he'd see him, like, "Hey, I got this play. It's going to work." Right? Really? Which sounds crazy.
Oh, yeah, I think I've
and he just kept doing it. And eventually, to be nice to the guy, he was like, "All right, okay, let's see it," you know, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then he looked at it and he was like, "Oh, this is actually kind of legit." And then they ran it and it worked.
Yeah, now he's the assistant coach, right?
yeah. I don't know about that, but you know, that is one thing that's kind of funny is I think this is a misconception that people have about celebrities sometimes. Depending on, especially if you're talking about entertainment, especially maybe sports, less so probably sports, is you tend to have this idea that they just have this like gift from some whatever you believe in, some other place, you know, that was just bestowed upon them, and they were just meant to do this thing, because you don't see the hard work. You see them like, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years after they've been in the trenches of whatever that thing is. And all of a sudden they're all like on TV everywhere, or they're in front of your face all the time. Yeah. And you just think that like they were discovered right before you saw them.
Right.
And so you're like, wow, look how great this person is at this thing that I like. You know, and you don't realize like, no, they're just people like you, and they just worked really hard in most cases.
Yeah, you don't see the work. And then even that day, whatever they're doing, you don't see the 23 hours it took to get to that 1 hour that you see them, whatever it might be.
Because even undeniable, just exceptional talents like Robin Williams. Robin Williams went to Juilliard.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like classically trained.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then also it just, you know, it took guts too for him to take the risks that he took artistically to be able to be that unique and interesting. And obviously he had to have talent on top of that, you know, but.
Yeah, you're just half crazy,
Yeah, but I think that's a mistake people make, because they look at these like incredibly successful, talented people, and they think that like they can't do that, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. When you see somebody's reached the pinnacle on something, whether it's Michael Jordan or just anybody performer, just so much work has gone into that, and that's
Right.
why they make it look easy.
Yeah, and you see that in sports sometimes where sometimes the most that's why I talked about this a lot recently, but it's been on my mind for some reason. It's like because I guess it's because I'm trying to make it in comedy, so I'm very fascinated by that marriage of hard work and talent, and it's in like sports too and everything like that. But you see in sports also a lot of really talented guys that wash out because they're not composed.
Right.
You see with quarterbacks all the time.
Yeah.
For example, Tom Brady, not the most talented, skilled quarterback. It wasn't. He didn't have the longest armed, and he wasn't the fastest guy. But he was just obsessive.
Yeah, he could thread a needle, and he developed that.
Yeah.
It's yeah, you just yeah, that's right. When you see someone doing their thing, then it just represents so much work. And then they also, of course, they do get a lot of confidence and composure, as you say, from having done all the work. And then it's like a simple example is just teaching a class, which I've done thousands of times. Of course, you have to be prepared, and then it generally goes well if you know what you're doing. If you're really well prepared with the material and you got a plan, you got kind of a backup idea if this doesn't go so well or whatever. But then again, even maybe days when you haven't planned as well as maybe you should have, or it doesn't go so well for whatever reason, unforeseen, then you're better at if you have your composure, you have the confidence, and you are competent. Then you've also developed the ability to stay cool and change gears and continue to make it look easy, as you change gear. But still, it's just all in preparation, and it's rarely an accident if things go well.
Right.
Is what we're saying, right?
Yeah. Accidents are pretty rare.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about driving on
At least positive accidents.
Yeah. Which I don't know. It's probably dumb to bring up, but I saw a pretty grisly wreck. I told you about it on the interstate, and that's taking it in a deep direction. But I'll tell you, especially especially imagine how combat veterans feel or whatever. But there's this. It's kind of interesting when you see a person who is deceased. There is this like really interesting, like kind of humbling feeling of like you connect to it for a second, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we're all going to be there.
Right. Yeah.
We're all going to be in that position sometime.
Right. Exactly. Like there's an element of it where it's like it's weird. It's like you can't look at it and not put yourself in that same position, and that's what makes it feel creepy.
That's right.
And then there's a thing that comes after that where you're just thankful that wasn't you.
It reminds you of the fragility. We're all just a heartbeat away from that.
Right.
It's just we're all very fragile. It's just.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, people are being killed every day. In Nashville and around, but where anybody lives, of course. If you live in a very large city, there's probably, I don't know what the stats would be, a person or two is probably killed on the road, and a couple of shot or whatever. There's people dying all the time, but there's most of the time, thankfully, it's nobody close to us, most of the time, not all the time, of course. And so it's not just a hourly experience. So it's really weird when you have that, see it, even a funeral. I mean, it's just, it really makes you think. It's just such a weird thing,
right? And it's also kind of like this. It's got me thinking more lately about this mentality of like the marriage between understanding that nothing matters, but that's why it does. Kind of, you know what I mean? To where it's like you can have this perspective that like if nothing matters, why do anything? Right. But I think really, if you think about it, because of the fact that nothing actually matters, then that's a great reason to
everything matters more.
Yeah, exactly.
Regardless of your religious position on all that, if you just take the existence we know for certain, that Yeah. You could say, well, what does this matter? You know, we're going to be gone in 50 years, 100 years for sure, you know, and everybody I know or whatever, you know, but well, in a way it gives it more meaning.
It does. And it frees you up to strive for something. I think too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there is a tendency to be afraid to whatever it is you're doing to reach a high level of achievement. Because what if I fail? You know, what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't make me happy or all these kinds of things? So if you can kind of accept it, like really none of that matters. None of it matters anyways. No one's going to remember this.
Right. So
so might as well go for it.
Make the best of the existence. The one existence we know of for sure is this one, even if it's fictional.
Right.
So make the best of it, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Do what you can do and try to be good to people. You know?
Right. It's kind of like a misconception people have had about like, and I may be wrong about this, but I think it was the Romans that were big on painting like skulls on their like shields or their or their breastplates and different things like that, right? And I think there's like kind of this idea that a lot of people have that it was to make them look mean and scary, like yeah, we're gonna make you look like that, you know, kind of thing. But it was actually a message to themselves, to kind of remember that we're already dead. We're just skeletons inside here. There's nothing. Like again, like I'm saying, it's like nothing matters.
We're just
so
temporarily here. Yeah.
So we're gonna give it everything we have because of that.
I always think of that's got to be the attitude if you're in combat, you know, serious combat or situation. I always, you know, you see the Band of Brothers, you watch Vietnam movies, or whatever you're watching, where it's you know, the warfare is so intense. The situation is like, you know, Civil War, different things where half of you may be killed today, literally.
Right.
You know, or a third of you killed today, or a bunch of you. There's a very good chance you're not going to survive the day, whatever it is. And you're on one of those islands, you know, in the Pacific during World War II, and so many are killed and disabled, all this kind of thing. And you would have to just, and in fact, there's a line in one of them, Band of Brothers, or one of those. I remember someone saying that maybe it was, I'm not sure which movie it is, but it's so true. I've thought of that for decades.
Probably Band of Brothers, because remember Captain Spears.
That might be it. You just don't know you're already dead. Or
that character Blythe.
Yeah.
The one guy that went blind from combat fatigue.
Or
PTSD they call it now, and he was telling him, he's like, yeah, so your problem is you don't realize you've already died.
That's it. That was one. I've heard another one too, but yeah, I would think, okay, the only way you could really be effective, I would think, is, okay, I'm going to be killed today, but let me just go ahead and get as many of them as I can and you know, work the program, and we'll follow through with it. I'm probably going to die today. Get that out of your head about worrying about dying.
Yeah.
I'm going to be dead probably in a month. I'm not going back home from here, you know, in 3 months. I'm not going to make it. I see everybody around me, you know, getting shot and dying, and I'm not going to make it either. I'm not special, but by gosh, we're going to make them pay.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you just take that attitude and then forget that.
Right. But it would.
And then be glad if you don't die. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Be grateful.
I was just thinking, maybe funny is too harsh of a word, but like imagine if there's someone was like scared in combat and you gave them that speech, right? And they realize like, you're right, I am already dead. And then they just go and just do something stupid and get killed immediately. It's like no. You still have to hide behind things.
I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
You want to survive if you can.
Right. Yeah. You still have to be smart.
Yeah.
You know, but again, it's like what we were saying earlier. It's, I mean, if you're too afraid to fail, you're definitely going to fail.
Yeah. Well, life's the same way. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's prolonged. I mean, you know, like you say, make the best of it, because we are all going to die. You know,
right? So
make the best of it, and again, be good to people, and not take little things too seriously, and major and minors like we all tend to do. You know,
I'll quote my favorite philosopher, Doug Stanhope.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Homer Simpson.
No, yeah,
Homer's my favorite.
Yeah. Doug Stanhope. I swear, we talked about this before. For those of you that don't know Doug Stanhope is a comedian, one of the best out there, and if he wasn't a comedian, I feel like this quote I'm about to say would be in books that was taught in school. If it wasn't for the fact that he's like a degenerate alcoholic comedian. But he has this whole bit about it. But the main quote is, "Everything in moderation, especially moderation."
Yeah.
I mean, that's so brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
It is.
I feel like if you knew if what's the name? You went to school. What's the name of the philosopher? If you heard it from one of these famous philosophers,
How about Homer, the real? Emerson or somebody.
Yeah. If Emerson said it, you would not be like, oh, that's a little bit beneath him. You'd be like, oh, wow, that's one of his best things.
It does sound a little bit like something Homer would have said.
Yeah.
Homer Simpson.
Homer Simpson?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But it was the writers of Homer
Right,
Simpson.
right. But I feel like that saying, though, moderation, especially moderation, is like, it encapsulates that to a degree.
Well, that's right, because
it's like it's like, you know, don't go too crazy, but also don't hold back.
Right.
Too, you know.
Just like me, I drink beer every day and smoke cigars all day long.
That's right. Yeah.
Actually, for the viewers at home, we probably know this if they know me. I have about a beer a month, and I have my average on cigars lately is about one every 2 months.
Yeah.
But I thought today, why not?
And I used to smoke them all the time.
I did. I got there for a period of a year or two. I was having about a cigar a day.
Yeah.
And just sort of gradually got away from it. But
yeah, it's funny. We
flip-flopped.
Yeah. So I started smoking cigars on the first day I turned 18 is when I had my first tobacco.
And I remember it well. Yeah,
the very first day. I never tried tobacco before I turned 18.
Right.
Same way I never tried alcohol until I turned 21. That was the first day I tried it.
Just like me, I never carried a gun until I got my permit.
That's right. Yeah. But but I never had a real cigar though. On my 18th birthday, remember we went to what was it called? What was the name? It doesn't exist anymore. It's in Green Hills, Tennessee.
It's essentially the same one that's across the street, Uptown.
Oh, it was Uptown.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It does still exist, but it's in a different. Wasn't in a different
they changed
location.
Their name, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got Davidoff number 2s, I believe.
Yeah.
They were small ones.
And we didn't know what we were doing. Remember, we
didn't.
I was going to buy
a
cigar, buy us a
Yeah.
really great cigar, because I hadn't had a cigar in forever either.
Yeah.
And I remember asking the guys, okay, it's your birthday and all this kind of celebration, 18. And what's the best cigar? We want to buy it. Money is no object. What's the best cigar?
You did say that. Yeah.
Did I say that?
Yeah, I think so.
So he obviously comes out with Davidoff.
Yeah. They weren't big. They were small.
Yeah.
But they're good. I mean, it's still good. I don't really smoke those anymore, but they were good cigars.
They were good. They got something about the tobacco and the Davidoffs. They're good. They're exquisitely made and all that kind of thing. But there's a tinge of some flavor I'm not as crazy about as I am like the Zeno.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah. The cigar nerds would probably know exactly how to describe it.
Yeah.
But I agree. That's a little cigar history for you guys. Yeah. So my understanding is that Davidoff, I think it's pronounced Davidoff. I think. I used to always call it Davidoff, but I think it's Davidoff.
Is it?
I think. I could be wrong. I think. But the guy's name is Zeno Davidoff.
Yeah.
Right. And he started Davidoff Cigars, as that was explained to me. And then he sold it, but then decided to get back into the cigar business and started Zeno.
Yeah.
So Zeno is basically the same guy that started Davidoff, but it's a separate company.
Yeah.
I think because he sold Davidoff. Again, I could be wrong, but that's how it was explained to me. But Zenos are like kind of a higher end version of Davidoff, basically.
Yeah, I think that's right. I really like the flavor of them. I smoke so few now that I do. I'll smoke a Zeno now when I do.
Yeah,
they're so mild and they're very, very good. I like some other Monte Cristos and some Ash and some others I like pretty well. But since I have them so rarely, I don't mind having an expensive one now.
Yeah, if money was no object, I would smoke nothing but Zenos. They're my favorite, but they're very expensive. So I usually do like Monte Cristos.
Yeah, speaking of that, I normally don't like beer with a cigar. I quit drinking soft drinks. I used to like a soft drink, Coke or something with ones. That's how I would drink them. I never did like beer with them.
Yeah.
And still don't. I've decided I go to half of this beer. Beer sounds good, but not with a cigar. That's why I brought my water. But
I'll tell you, I think a big misconception. I mean, whatever. It's all subjective. Everyone has different tastes, but I feel like because cigars are like a manly thing, people think, I got to have me a glass of whiskey, with bourbon with my cigar, Which, hey, if you, not to say, some people like that, and then maybe it is good for some people. I actually do think that you want something a little bit sweeter because you're kind of mixing two dry things.
Yeah.
You know, because like the sweet kind of balances out the cigar.
That must be it.
So you're on the right track with that, I think. That's why brandy, actually, I think back in the day was more of like something that, you know, wealthy gentlemen would pair with a cigar because brandy's sweet.
Yeah.
You had, I think we had some brandy.
We did that one somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, brandy's nice, but I love whiskey. I love whiskey, Jameson, all that stuff, but it is just, it's too dry with the, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't fit.
Yeah, I'm not a big drinker, as you know, to begin with. So if I drank more, I'd probably have more preferences there or opinions about it.
Right.
I don't know.
I'll tell you a great thing that goes with a cigar. Well, I've learned you got to watch where. So sangria, which is like it's like a fruit punch kind of wine that you'll find at Mexican restaurants.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's really good. It goes really well with a cigar.
Probably like that.
It's really good. I've learned that you gotta watch where you order from because it's like women drink it a lot. So sometimes they'll bring it out in this like very fancy glass, and you're just like, what the hell is this? It's like you can't bring me like a man glass. I hate that when you order a drink that's like not even like it's not like a girl drink, but they bring it in this like glass. It's like almost makes you like embarrassed to have it. You know what I mean? That's happened to me a few times.
Yeah, it's all this society. Well, it's like cigars. You know, it's funny how like the media. I guess it's not the same, but the media over the years, how they brand cigars in general. You know, the movie world and everything. Like growing up, I mean, there was always a fat guy businessman that was taking advantage of everybody. He was the one who smoked the cigars. You know?
Right.
so not
back then it might have been more true though.
Might have been a little more truth to it, but
I mean the 1800s. You know, how many people were smoking cigars really, except for because they were imported. They weren't like most of them were imported, right? So anything imported was super expensive.
Well, you know, yeah, it depends on the cigar, of course. I don't know. I've not studied this. I kind of think of a lot of the smoking probably during the 1800s was a cigar of some kind, really wasn't. I mean, they weren't rolled with paper as much, were they?
Yeah, I think so. They rolled their own.
Well, I know my uncle did that. I know growing up all the time, had a Prince Albert can in his pocket all the time, papers and roll cigars. But I don't know. Back in the day, I wonder when cigarettes actually started being manufactured. You know, in factories and all that kind of thing. And why would they even bother with paper if they didn't need to? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. But
I think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the history of tobacco.
Well, yeah, you see in some of the westerns, they got a small cigarette kind of thing, but it really looks like a little cigar.
True.
I don't know.
But who knows how? Like Clint Eastwood, of course, had those.
Yeah.
You know, Clint Eastwood smoked those like Italian cigars, which was because they were shooting those in Italy.
Yeah.
And they're if I ever gave you one, if you ever smoked one before, but they don't actually have to be stored in a humidified environment. For those of you who don't know, you got to keep a cigar at around like what 70% humidity, something in that ballpark. But the Italian cigars, they're just like they're hard. They're super hard, and you don't have to cut them. They're open on both ends. Yeah. And what a lot of people do, and what Clint Eastwood did, was the reason they'd be like these little short cigars is you cut them in half.
Oh, okay.
You know, and so you basically have two.
Yeah.
And that's what he would smoke. They're pretty good, and they're usually sweet. Because I think the reason they don't have to be stored at a certain humidity level, the reason they feel hard to the touch, is because they dip them in something.
Packed.
I think, and it's like sugary.
They're like a cigarette.
And so it kind of encapsulates it.
Yeah.
No, it's a cigar. I mean, they're like brown. They're like dark brown.
Yeah, they are.
But
yeah, well, I'm not an expert.
I'm not either. You know,
I'm not an expert in anything.
Yeah. But back to the original point, though, it's like at least the way I try to live my life is I like to indulge in things, but I try not to take it too far. Like with drinking, you know, I know comedians who get drunk every night, you know, and it's just not a sustainable way to live.
No,
you know, can't do that.
No, it's easy to get into something get addicted, whatever it is. You know, it's almost human nature with things that make you feel better,
Right.
things that are fun to do. It takes a certain level of self-discipline to avoid getting addicted to anything.
Right.
It's TV or soft drinks, beer, cigars, cigarettes, gosh, a million things. Yeah.
Why is that in us, I wonder? You know what I mean? Is that like, because, you know, almost everything about what we are was necessary for our survival at some point,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, you know, early man didn't have all that available for one thing.
It's true.
You just survive. You know,
I guess it turned.
kill something and eat it, and you know the tree bark didn't seem that inviting.
Yeah, yeah.
Dirt or weeds, most of them. Yeah, they were just surviving.
I guess it was a time when if you were addicted to something, it was probably going to be healthy, whatever it was. You're addicted to, you know, bringing meat home to your family or what, you know,
Right,
whatever it is. And then things got too accessible. And so then it was too easy. It's like, yeah, I know what it is. It's like the sensitivity on our bodies, the sensitivity, or minds or whatever, the sensitivity on that, like, do this, get a reward thing was dialed up to a point that could motivate us to survive.
Yeah.
And then but then that didn't have time to adjust by the time all these things became too accessible, like food, for example. And we haven't really adjusted to that yet.
Yeah, we're not having to go out and fight to find something to eat today, and it might be 3 days before we kill something,
Right.
Kind of thing. And then,
You can,
plus of course I'm on a keto diet, have been for a couple of years, and I feel much better than I ever did. I've lost weight and all that, and but you know, a lot of it is the carbohydrates. You know, we didn't have the grains and all this stuff floating around the world, and you know, that keep so easily, and you know, boxes of it within arm's reach all the time, all that sort of thing, which is more, anything that's like a carbohydrate is just naturally more. I mean, it's like a form of sugar, most of it.
Right.
It just is more naturally addicting. The old example that, you know, the keto experts talk about is, you know, you sit down, if I give you a steak, I don't matter whether you're way overweight or what you are, and give you the best steak that you've ever had, as much of it as you want, you'll eat and enjoy it, and then there'll come a point where I can't eat another bite. You know, I mean, you just have enough. It's not just because you like it, doesn't mean you're going to eat till you get fat or whatever. And you push away, and, oh boy, my stuff. Is it, well, okay. How about some ice cream? Oh yeah, that's, you know, I mean, it's carbohydrates in general, or it's cookie, you know, whatever it might be, and it's, you know, we always have room for that. It's just naturally a little more addictive, Yeah.
Right. It's an overdose on something that the thing that makes carbohydrates, sugars addictive was something our bodies needed a little bit of, but maybe was hard to find at one time.
Yeah, didn't get much of it.
So that was why maybe our body was like rewarding us for that, right? But now it
felt good.
But now it's the most plentiful.
Yeah, it's most plentiful, and the cheapest.
Yeah, just in the same way that you know, if you like drugs simulate, like opiates especially simulate like some sort of rewarding feeling, like a feeling of accomplishment or something, you know.
Yeah.
Right. It just generates it, you know, by taking a pill or whatever it is. Whereas before you had to work very hard for that, so the body think, oh, it's safe to have this level of reward because it's very difficult to achieve that. But then once it becomes easy, then it's kind of compounds and it's very bad for you.
Yeah, and it's been refined to the point where it just shoots your sugar up, your blood level, and your insulin, so it feels good for temporarily, just like a drug. You feel good temporarily, and then before you know it, you want more of it. Yeah.
And food is tough because it's like the old thing of, you know, you can stop doing heroin, but you can't stop eating food.
Right, because you're going to be eating on some level. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because you lost a ton of weight. I've gotten worse because I live in Chicago, and the access to food is at a very unhealthy level.
Yeah.
You know, especially the kind of lifestyle I live of being out every night doing stand up. You know, and it's so difficult to not just want to eat food, and then, oh man, like, it's crazy. In Chicago, it's being such a big city, you hop on the Uber Eats, like, food delivery app, and there's just like I mean, everything you can think of is available almost 24/7. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And it'd be like if you were addicted to drugs and there was just like a illegal drug store or like a drug dealer that lived next door, and you could just like text them and be like, "Yeah, I'll have this." You know, it's like it's tough. It's so tough.
Well, that's the issue with
Working
everything.
on it.
You know, oh man, I've gone down that road, that path. And I've read so many books in the last couple of years and watched so many good videos from really some smart people, doctors or not, you know, just all that kind of thing. So I've got enough knowledge. I'm really motivated because I see things now, whether it's that candy bar or whatever. I know what it does to a person's metabolism and insulin and blood sugar and all that. And so I have a lot in my head that I know where the poison is, but it's still so tough because I love candy bar better than anything, or ice cream, as you know,
Yeah.
or whatever. And so
That's what's weird. You have the sweet tooth. I don't have the sweet.
I do.
I don't have the sweet tooth. I have the like pizza fried food tooth.
But well, see, that's the thing. The bread and everything's so refined that it's all kind of the same.
Right, it
thing.
is just as bad.
Same thing. But like you're talking with the drugs, the reason that heroin for most people, or cocaine, things like that, are not a problem for people, is when I stop to gas up, just up here at the road, coming in, you get gas, I go in the bathroom. Well, I walk by 900 things that would be really tasty to eat. All I did was reach and grab it, pay for it, and go out and eat it. I mean, just everywhere you go, you can't stop anywhere, integrate anywhere. And so it's, if you had cocaine like that, there's a various packet. Oh, some of it's bottled,
Right.
some of it's in a can, some of it's in a little, cute little wrapper. Everywhere you went would all have cocaine addictions.
Well, I have to kind of disagree.
It's not as bad as that.
Yeah, I know,
but things that are just available makes a difference.
I have to disagree a little bit though, because I think the big difference to me is because if you've ever been to Las Vegas, which you have, and been around and walked around at night, it's about that bad when it comes to cocaine. It's about that bad. I remember I was in Vegas with another comedian one time, and we were counting how many times we got offered coke, and we got up to 14.
Wow.
14 in one night. 14 different times someone offered us coke. And we don't do coke, so we didn't do it, obviously.
Well,
the difference is, though, is if there were stores with the gas stations all sold heroin, and they almost do now with the Kratom. I don't know if you know anything about that.
With what?
Kratom? Oh, we'll talk about that in a second, but finish my point. Is you can just, like, if I just never do those things, I'll never have a craving.
Right.
Right? Whereas, again, with food, you can't just never eat. You're going to crave food, And then that's what's hard is, like, that's what I've struggled with is I can fast. I've had pretty good luck with fasting, but then eventually get to the point where you have to eat something. And then once I eat, it's hard for me to control how much I eat. Right. And then it's hard for me to, like, get back on the thing. But yeah, so Kratom, do you know anything about that? Have you heard about it?
I might have heard about it. What's the word?
It's called Kratom.
Kratom.
It's spelled with a K.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, Kratom. Yeah. It's basically, I've never done it, and I never will. But it's basically gas station heroin, and it's what's crazy about it is, even though I do believe drugs should be decriminalized, I don't think drugs like that should be like propped up. You know what I mean? Like, they decriminalize drugs. I don't want to see cocaine advertised at the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Kratom is, like, almost to that point. I saw this ad in Chicago where it showed this, like, hot lady exercising, and it was like a Kratom thing.
What is it? A diet pill or something?
No, it's just heroin, basically. It's an opiate.
What do they call it? What's it sold as? Like a stay awake pill or something?
It's just sold as like I don't know how. I mean,
candy.
Like I said, I've seen it marketed as like a thing you take when you go exercise and just to make you feel better.
Like
it's just
supposed to make you want
like
to
a supplement. It's sold as kind of like a supplement.
Supplement.
Or whatever. And but it's literally an opiate, and people have been getting addicted to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and because it's an opiate, and people have been having to go on what are those drugs, like Suboxone and those different drugs getting people off of heroin, and it's also led people to heroin. I mean, it's an opiate. That's the thing, and they're just selling it at gas stations, and and the danger of that is that people don't realize what it is, and they're taking it and getting addicted to it. It's pretty crazy.
like I said, you got to have a lot of self discipline just to move around this world, not be
Yeah.
addicted to something. Cause
Oh yeah.
and and speaking of of cocaine or something, when those topic of gun rights comes up, or people say, well, they shouldn't have access to a gun, whatever, and that, if they weren't so readily available, anybody can get a gun, as we all know. He said anybody can get a gun, and drugs are illegal by and large, the hardest ones, and I have no clue. Obviously, I don't even know what they're selling in the corner market, so I don't know much about drugs and where to get them. But I have made the
You
comment
could
many
figure it out.
times that I bet you, I don't know how long it'd take me. We're what, an hour, half an hour at least from Nashville, but I'll bet you, well, I wouldn't have to go to Nashville probably, but probably within about 3 hours, I could find out where the corner is or where, and I could probably find cocaine if I really wanted it. Even though I know nothing,
Yeah.
about where that would be, just so things are available. If you want it, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But availability does make a difference.
Right.
In front of you, because it's a lot of people have no self control, and it's hard enough for everybody.
Yeah. And also like people who are already addicted, I think it's especially tough because they
Yeah,
really know how to get it. And,
and it feels good to feel good. We talked about that before. I have had surgery enough times here and there, a couple times, and where you get the opioids, prescribed. And I think it's harder to get those prescribed now. But
it is. Yeah.
they used to prescribe those up to about 10 years ago or something, and a little more readily. And I've had those a couple of times, and they make you feel great.
Yeah.
It
There's a
doesn't take
reason
much.
people get addicted.
Yeah, and I mean, they kill the pain, but they make you feel great. And oh man, I can see, the people or celebrities or whoever, someone you would just be amazed. How did he get addicted to drugs? Well, I think Rush Limbaugh, is famous, famously known that he had back problems and surgery or whatever, and was on those, and then he got addicted to them for, I don't know, a year or two. He had a real problem with them. Someone who is an extreme conservative, of course he was, or someone who would probably rail against drug use, and addicted to it. I mean, the stuff it just will grab you. And that's all the more reason to stay away.
Yeah.
I remember a guy back in the old days, this dates me for sure. I used to watch occasionally Phil Donahue. And I remember a guy on there saying one time, I'll never forget that, how they were, drugs was the topic or something, cocaine, I don't know what it was all about. And he had been addicted to it and all this, but now he was just the opposite, whatever. But his deal was, but he said, the thing you don't understand is cocaine. I would have done anything to get it. He said, it's better than sex. He said, far better. And I mean, he just laid it on the line. And rather than saying, just say no, he wasn't taking that approach. He was, admitting how great it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good message for people. Really.
It is.
Yeah, that's the reason I just stay away from it. If I was somewhere and someone had some cocaine, and there was no way anybody would ever know that I had taken that, for example, or tried it or whatever, I'm going to say, well, I don't want to, because I know it's going to make me feel great.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Be realistic about it. That's the problem.
If it was bad, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, it's not like, well, I could do this, no one will know. Well, yeah, I'll be addicted.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a good chance I might. I like it too much, maybe,
Yeah.
And maybe I have a gene, I have something in me, I don't realize it yet, that because we all have a bit of an addictive personality, I think, and I might have trouble not seeking out some more of it next week.
Yeah.
That kind of deal. So
I
know it must make you feel great because there's too many people get addicted to it. People you wouldn't expect.
Smart people, people that know what they're doing to themselves.
Exactly.
And they don't care.
It defies logic.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, and then you got, of course, healthier addictions like collecting guns.
Oh yeah.
Which, hey, for some people that can be bad too, because if you're spending all your money and you go broke,
well, it'd be worth that, I think.
That's true. Yeah, at least you got guns.
Well, you're right. Absolutely, anything. It's when it. Well, I don't know what was there's a definition for addiction, that kind of thing, when it begins to affect the rest of your life.
Right. That's what
people around you or whatever, and oh yeah. Anything you spend money on that affects your life, you can't pay your water bill or your house payment or whatever, that it's causing you to do that, whether it's drinking, drugs, or
sports betting. Yeah, that's a big one for people.
Yeah. There's
another one I stay away from. That's how I deal with those things. I just don't do it.
Yeah. So you have more inclination toward that, obviously, than I do. We go to Las Vegas, the SHOT Show. You're
Oh, I
wanting
like
to
to
gamble.
gamble. Yeah.
And I mean, I do a little. I think in the last 2 or 3 trips
Yeah.
out there, I've done none, but I don't
But the
know.
way I control it though is I don't do it. It's in a like if I gamble, it's going to be at a casino and it's like an event. Like
Yeah.
I'm in Vegas for a few days, so I'm going to gamble while I'm there. Or if I'm in another town and a bunch of guys were like, "Let's go to the casino." Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
But the danger is the sports betting on your phone. I think
Yeah, I bet.
that's really dangerous. I know a lot of people who are really having a problem with that.
I'll bet. I
Because
might
it's
be able
on
to
your,
get addicted to some things, but gambling's not one of them. It's just boring to me for some
Yeah.
reason. I don't know why. It's odd, isn't it?
yeah.
You would think something is so appealing to so many people that there would be some appeal to me too, but there's just none. Any
Yeah.
kind of gambling. I don't know why.
I'll tell you like what it is. I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you why you've never gotten addicted to it. It's because you've gambled. I've gambled with you before. You've gambled, but you've not like actually gambled. You know what I mean? The thing that makes gambling addictive is if you put up enough money
Oh, to make a difference.
that you actually will feel it when you lose or don't or win. If because when you gamble, you'll put like $5 on something, But if it's actually an amount of money that's going to give you like a physical reaction to losing or winning, you're not addicted to the winning money. You're addicted to that feeling, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And it really and it also gets people to the people that really have problems with gambling is people who have kind of like especially like issues with depression or just kind of like people that kind of feel I don't know how to describe it really, but there's certain people that's like one of the few ways that can actually like feel something.
Right. Get a thrill. That's
Exactly.
a thrill they can get. Yeah.
So it's the kind of I feel like it's a misconception that people are like chasing have money, but that they're thinking like I'm going to get rich off gambling. It's what they might think that actually in their own mind, but what it really is, it's like that push and pull of win, lose, win, lose, win, lose.
Yeah, it's that dopamine hit they get.
Yeah, so your heart is going, and
and a lot of things, and I don't get the dopamine hit. That's the thing.
Well, you probably not gambled enough money.
I don't think I'd get a dopamine hit from it. I just don't.
I bet you would.
I don't know
if you gambled enough money. I'm not trying to talk you into doing it. Don't do it.
No,
don't do it. But
I have
you
done
would.
some.
You would. I mean, you would. If you put enough money down, you're gonna feel something.
I can't get to that. It's not that I'm too cheap. I mean, I used to, my first couple of trips out there, I think before you came along, and even some of our early trips, I'd gamble a couple $100 or something, mess around, and just, because I knew I would lose it. It's just a matter of how long it would take.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just don't get a thrill out. Yeah, I guess if I put down $5,000 on roulette wheel, but
you lose that, and then you start thinking, that was a nice gun I could have got, and now it's just gone. You're gonna feel really bad about that, and then if you gamble more and then you win it back, then you're gonna be like, all that misery, I just erased that. Yeah. That's how you get it. That's how it gets you.
Yeah. See, I'm different though. I don't get.
Maybe.
It doesn't even strike me as anything that would give me dopamine, win or to lose it, or to lose it. You know?
Yeah.
And knowing you're generally going to lose anyway, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, who knows?
But
Speaking of that, I was thinking. I wanted to ask you that I feel like the people listening might be interested in is. Speaking of guns, it's like, relax. Like, obviously, you have, because of the project that we've been doing with Hickok45, it's given both of us an ability to buy guns that were like our dream guns or things we've always wanted or whatever. It's like, do you still have one out there that you're still like chasing? You know, a gun that you're still, because I feel like most of the time you kind of have that one that you're like, I wouldn't mind getting one of these kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of two levels of that, and people have asked me that before. What gun is it? Kind of your dream gun.
All right. How about this? Let's do a 2-part thing then. Let's say what's a gun that you're actually like for real chasing?
Yeah.
And then what if Elon Musk was like, I'm a big fan of the channel.
Right.
And I will buy you any gun that exists. What do you want?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the thing. People have asked that what's your dream or that kind of thing, and and as I've answered before, there's really not a firearm that is like a holy grail to me.
Right.
Even a small
Of
holy
course.
grail that, oh man, I'd love to have one of those. Like you love the full auto stuff. That's
Yeah, I mean,
kind of
my M60 is that's it. I can't
that's
even think of something.
how do you go
I already
surpass
got
that?
it.
Yeah. Now, if I was a huge fan of the full auto, even though I have one, uh, it'd be easy to come up with a holy grail there because
Probably.
they're so expensive and there are so many of them. It would be cool to have, I guess. Uh, but I've actually achieved a lot of my holy grails in guns like like that cavalry Colt
Right.
single action.
It's hard to get better than that with a
It
Colt
was
single
carried
action.
by an actual cavalry
It
officer or
yeah.
somebody back in 1880s. And
It'd take like a gun owned by a famous person
yeah,
from that time or
it
something,
really
probably.
would if some firearm that was the actual firearm that it's just known. There's no question about it that Hickok carried.
Yeah, or a
And it
gun
was
that was at the OK Corral
Yeah, and
shootout or
that
something.
Earp used or Hickok used in a gunfight or something like that. That would be pretty cool. You almost wouldn't want to fire it, but I mean
Right.
that would I guess in terms of a firearm. But no, there's no. I think people have this vision. Oh yeah, I'll bet you just die if you could get a what are these cannons that on the ships or something crazy like
Yeah.
a Civil War cannon would be kind of cool.
It would. They're pretty high though, aren't
Yeah,
they?
if I was, going to spend $50,000 on something, a firearm, an authentic, Civil War cannon with the howitzers, with the carriage all intact. It had to have been rebuilt, probably, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like you see at the
The
Civil War
battlefields.
sites
Yeah.
and things. Yeah, that'd be cool. But then again, you going to shoot that? Where are you going to shoot it? How are you going to?
Right.
All that kind of thing. So not so much really. That's it's a good thing and that's a bad thing. Somebody will say, well, it must be nice. You have so many firearms. There's not even something out there you're dying to,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get like that.
Right.
And it is.
Yeah.
I'm very, very lucky, very
Yeah.
fortunate, largely because of this project. I've been able to acquire the things that really mean a lot to me that I really, really like. And, so I'm very, very fortunate. As far as
None of the old cowboy guns. There's not one out there that you're still kind of thinking that'd be nice to have one of those.
well, yeah, in the lesser level, something that is not the Elon
Oh,
Musk
yeah, yeah.
gets.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Something that's
yeah.
not the Elon Musk
What
get.
about
Yeah.
well, back to the Elon Musk thing. What about like a Henry? Is that like if someone would you do one of those?
Even that doesn't appeal to me
Yeah.
that much. 'Cause
Can't
you couldn't
shoot
shoot it, and it's just a wall hanger kind of thing.
Yeah.
But on a realistic level, something I actually could buy that would be interesting. I hadn't thought a lot lately about it. There does seem to always be something that's kind of cool, fills a niche. It's just maybe something I wasn't even aware of. That 1301 Beretta shotgun
Oh, right.
recently. So things kind of pop up on me like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I was sort of vaguely aware of that. And I messed around and looked. I don't know how it came up. Someone asked me about it in a comment probably. And then I looked at a video popped up with, maybe it was the Firearms blog. I saw, what's his name? Who's that main guy over there? Dark-haired, quite a character. I talked to him at SHOT Show.
Can't remember his name, but I think I know who you're talking
You know what I'm
about.
talking about. He's kind of the star over there. Sorry, man. I don't know your name. Actually, I'm faking. I don't know your name. He gives me a hard time, I think, online sometimes, in joking.
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
And so I'm just going to act like I don't know his name.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I do watch your videos occasionally.
Yeah.
I
I was
just
like, he's
can't-
not in the microphone.
I'm drawing a blank on your name. But yeah, I did watch some shooting he was doing with one. I said, yeah, and then maybe a couple of people. They just they catch me out of people. And I do like that. I like the looks of it, and the reliability is incredible and everything. I need one of those.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of how that stuff pops up on me.
Yeah.
Like that Mark IV Ruger. I was kind of looking for something that could put a suppressor on, and I hadn't owned one of those in a little while. And the Mark IV especially, it's easy to break down, and it just. I need one of those. That's kind of how that goes more so with me that I don't have a list right now that, I got to find something I've not, acquired yet.
Yeah.
I need to be selling guns instead of buying guns.
Yeah. Yeah. Selling guns is tough depending on what it is, because
Yeah.
I've gone through that before. Like, I don't need this, so I sell it. But then I start thinking, Well,
Where am I gonna
there's
list
work
it?
involved selling it,
I know.
and not only is there work involved, I'm gonna probably get less money for it than maybe I paid for it.
Yeah.
And you start thinking about all those things, and it's like, just hang on to it.
Well, one day I'll start auctioning off the Hickok45 collection, or
That's
something,
right,
just so I have room in the safes for them. And, but the one reason I have more now than I normally do, of course, we know is the videos, and I'm slower to get rid of something. Maybe like, well, we might use that in a comparison video or something.
Right.
So I've hung on to several guns for that
practical.
reason. Yeah,
I'll tell you one. I'm not gonna get one anytime soon, but a gun I've always thought would be neat to own. I'm surprised it wouldn't be something you want also, but an original 1866.
Yeah.
And
well, that's another one though. It shoots 44
you can shoot
rimfire.
No, you can shoot 4440 in some of them. Because they were converted. There's a lot of there's a lot of original ones that were actually converted back in the day.
Okay.
And you could also just have it converted to, because I think it's a pretty small modification. So it's not something that would like ruin the value of it.
Yeah.
And you can shoot those.
Yeah, that'd be different.
They're neat. To me, they're one of the neatest looking lever actions as far as just looks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because you got the best of both worlds. Like the Henry is a beautiful gun.
Yeah.
But at least these, it's more, you can actually get the side loading.
Yeah, I saw one in Louisville. It was an 1860s. I thought it was a Uberti reproduction.
Oh, like one of those
and it was
distressed
original.
ones? Wow.
No, it was original.
Oh, it was just that nice.
It was just in really nice shape.
Wow.
I just kind of, was that not, but it was a 66.
Yeah.
It might have been one of those converted. I don't know.
I'll tell you, one of the coolest antique guns I've ever seen in person, other than maybe like a famous one or something, which this one's kind of famous, was at that gun show in Las Vegas that we went to, the collector's show.
Yeah.
I've told you about this a million times, but they had the an 1866 there, and it had the little brass tacks in it, like the Native Americans would put on them. And I was thinking, oh, that was neat. I was like, wonder what that's going for. There was no price anywhere. I was looking around, and then there was this poster they had like propped up behind it, this thing, and there was like some stuff written on it. I was reading it, and I was like, oh, damn, this gun is in that photo.
Yeah.
And the photo is one of those famous photos of Geronimo. And it wasn't Geronimo's guns, but it was one of the guns of one of his guys.
Yeah.
That's in that photo holding it. It's like, that's the gun, and it's right here. Whoa.
Yeah, that's what's cool about those historical guns. That one's one of the few who used it or carried it.
Yeah.
Most of them you don't, but they're still pretty fascinating.
I'm surprised there are, and maybe there are, but it seems like there would be more because of how like a lot of these legendary Western characters were legendary at the time, and that's why they're legendary now. I'm surprised there aren't more guns that.
I think there are quite a few like
so.
that. Like in that museum with the Buckhorn Saloon in San Antonio and other museums. There are lots of guns. Most of them are in museums.
Yeah.
And it's a gun that Bill Tillman carried, or just different famous lawmen and different people.
What about Hickok's 51s? Are they out there?
I think they are. They're either some collection by a private owner or a museum. I think. I don't know.
That's another thing. Obviously, damn it, let's drop ash all over myself. I respect the rights of the individual, obviously, right, to own something that is valuable. But man, I really hate to see when someone has something really special that is truly a piece of history.
Yeah.
And they fine if they want to maintain ownership of it, but they hoard it in the sense of it's not where someone can see it.
Yeah, or locked away.
Yeah, I hate to see that, especially if it's something really, really important.
Well, fortunately, most of those folks do loan them out to museums, for periods of time and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because, part of the satisfaction, the ego or whatever involved, if you actually owned Hickok's pair of 51s or something, for example, you'd want to share those. Most people would. You'd want to show them, if nothing else. So you see your name on a plaque underneath it, owned by, so-and-so, and on loan to the museum for the month of May, or, kind of thing.
I've always been, I'm a sucker for I'm sure you are too. I'm a sucker for seeing real things from important historical events.
Yeah.
There's like this really interesting thing there where it's almost in the same vein of what we were talking about earlier, how nothing matters kind of thing, where it's like on one level, it's like, wow, that's if you're looking at the gun that Hickok carried, let's say the guns he was carrying when he was killed.
Yeah.
You know, and you're looking at them right there, right in front of your face. It's like, wow, those are the guns that Hickok had. But then on another level, just wood and steel.
Oh, I know.
You know,
Yeah, you got to be
it's
careful.
just it's 1851 Navy Colt. It looks just like all the other ones that you could go buy on Gunbroker. You know,
Oh, I know. That's why the
cool.
provenance has to be so good for it to have special meaning, and then even when it has that special connection, meaning it's still just a piece of metal. And
yeah. Same thing at historic places. I remember being a kid going to is it Monticello?
yeah,
Or was it
Monticello,
where Andrew Jackson?
where
right?
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson, right?
Oh, wait a minute. I confuse sometimes George Washington house and Jefferson. Which one's Monticello? That's
Yeah,
Jefferson.
the one on the back of the nickel.
Jefferson.
Yeah,
That's
Washington. Jefferson.
That's Washington. And it's
Oh.
the back of the nickel.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyways, but I think it was Jefferson. I'm pretty sure because it wasn't.
I think it is Jefferson.
Yeah, but I remember being there and seeing the chair that he sat in.
Yeah.
Right by his bed where he'd put his boots on.
Yep.
There was like an indention in the chair where he'd sat in it or whatever, or other people sat in it. But and you're sitting there looking at that, and it's the same thing. It's like, wow, it's like it blows your mind, and then it's like but it's also just a chair. It's really
it's a paradox.
Yeah.
Well, I think about that because I grew up. My mom and dad were your grandpa and grandma, kind of antiquers in a lot of ways. Mom had the house with antiques and different things, and I had always liked antiques. Even they were antiques when she was middle age, your age. But I think, and then I enjoy going through flea markets occasionally, and I don't buy a lot of junk at flea markets, but I kind of enjoy some of that. It reminds, I think when you get to a certain age, I don't know about future generations how that'll be. You'll go to a flea market to look at antiques, and it'll be an Apple computer, things like that, of course, but an 8-track tape. But seeing glassware, whatever it might be, it's neat seeing that stuff. You knew those dishes. Oh, that's just like I ate on at grandma's house. It's exactly the same dish or the pattern. Oh, that's kind of fun. And you see all that stuff. Carnival glass. My mom, collected Carnival glass. She got started because her mom had given her one piece, and her mom died when she was like 10, and he'd given her that little basket. Sits up on the cereal cabinet. It had given to my mom, and she had it her whole life, and I grew up with it sitting on the mantle, those kinds of things. But
explain Carnival glass for those under 70 watching.
Yeah, well, it's just that colored glass. Usually it's kind of purplish,
But they bought it right at carnivals.
At carnivals, you wanted or gave it away, whatever, for minor prizes at carnivals back in the day, and it's nothing really of that special except it's kind of a distinctive
Wasn't it depression?
pattern.
They call it depression glass also?
No, that's a different thing.
Oh, it's a different thing.
That's
Okay,
kind of the
all right.
pink.
Oh,
pink.
gotcha.
Well, she had that too. She collected.
Okay, gotcha.
I got
Okay.
a couple of pieces of that.
Okay.
But anyway, I think about that, or the stuff we're sitting around our house, or things that. Well, I got mom's, as you know, the lamp on the kitchen table there is the one that the Colo lamp's the one she literally did her homework by, because Granddad was too cheap to put in electricity on the farm. He had 500 acres and 50 cows. He was actually considered fairly wealthy for the time out there where they lived, but he was too cheap to put in electricity when it came through and all this kind of stuff. And she literally did her homework to that lamp, that very lamp. And when she was young,
Right.
And she was born in 1921. But anyway, things like that lamp, that piece of Carnival, anything you want to name that has been in the family long, whatever. You walk through a flea market and you see all that same kind of stuff, and most of those pieces of stuff had that same meaning to somebody.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah.
involved his past. And so those stories, like that piece of Carnival glass, hopefully you'll take that, at some point. But eventually you'll be gone, and that stuff will be in a flea market or in a yard sale or somewhere, and somebody will walk in. That's a neat old piece of glass, and it'll mean absolutely nothing to them.
Right.
The fact that I grew up with it, it was on the mantle as I grew up. I have pictures of it on the mantle, and me crawling on the floor in Erlanger, Kentucky, with a diaper on, and there's that piece of Carnival glass right on the mantle behind me. Not that I'm into glass that much, but it's just the history of an object, like Bill Hickok's guns or whatever it might be. Of course, they're famous, so that'll maintain.
Requires the memory to connect it.
Yeah, and of course, at my age, I've learned more and more how those things just literally do die away. So many things have died away in my life. There are things I don't have anybody to go ask. Like, Dad, if I'm curious about something, I said, now where exactly was Dad's old house, and who lived in that place across from? I knew he was a cousin or something in Grant County, Kentucky, whatever it is. Well, there's nobody left to ask.
Yeah.
And about an object or something, and eventually the meaning that's attached to it, the connection to people, it just goes away, totally. So it's kind of weird, because it's something we shouldn't get too attached to objects, to possessions, but something can have a lot of meaning. That hand grenade on the table, that could be a hand grenade from World War II. It was disarmed.
But it was carried by someone who maybe was killed, and that was...
Yeah, it could have been like a grandpa or something that we knew about. They brought it back or something. It's in our family forever. It should be a really special thing. And that was carried by him in the battle, and for whatever reason it didn't work, they brought it back. I don't know, or a gun or whatever. But eventually, it's on that same pile of anonymity. It's kind of weird.
It's like the 1911 that Grandpa, your dad, carried in the war is probably in someone's safe somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. It's somewhere.
And it's just like. Well, they take it out and shoot. Like, check it out. I got this old World War II gun.
Yeah,
and they don't know.
Now, they're showing somebody right now.
Yeah,
it went back probably to the arsenal, and then it may have been bought through the citizen or the civilian marksmanship program, maybe by somebody in California or Missouri. And right now they're out polishing that thing and shooting it, and they have no clue it belonged to Dad in the military.
Yeah, that's what that story about the. Was it like the guy he found the Garand, M1 Garand that like his dad used in Korea? Yeah. Somehow he found it and brought it back to him after all his years,
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's such a freak incident to do that, but so cool.
I hear from people, periodically that they have, in a video with one of our world, USGI 1911 or something, how they've got their grandpas or their dads that he carried, in World War II or something, and I'm like, wow. I said, boy, I hope you got a good gun safe. You don't really, what a prize that is. Can you imagine a gun person who loves to shoot? They're watching our videos and commenting, so they're probably, into firearms.
Right.
And they have a 1911 that their dad or their grandpa actually carried in World War II. I mean, how cool would that be?
Oh, incredible.
Oh, man.
Incredible. My favorite story like that is, I can't remember what the guy's name was, but there's this guy that, for a while, he was the oldest living World War II veteran. He was he died at, I think he was 113 when he died, and he had the Thompson, the transferable full auto Thompson, which I guess maybe he brought back and then amnesty registered it in the 60s.
Yeah,
and because I don't think it was illegal. I feel like that would have been part of the story if it was, but. He had the Thompson machine gun that he carried when he was in World War II.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was, I can't remember the guy's name. Yeah, he was 113. He died a few years back.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's neat. That's funny. We talk about things like that with envy in our eyes, and you think, so it was weird to think about not a lot of people probably watching this, but maybe a few, but yes, to a lot of the world, they're thinking that's sick.
Yeah,
that is so sick that you would be that.
Is it really materialistic though? Because to me,
I don't mean materialistic. I mean just as guns.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying.
Anti-gun people.
I got you. Absolutely. Yeah.
Like when I say something this is a lovely rifle. There are people that would just get sick hearing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I thought you meant like before where you're saying like it's not going to get attached to possessions or whatever. But I think though. When it comes to a possession that you have an attachment to because it's sentimental, it's not the same.
It's the people that are
right. It's not the same as like being attached to material possessions.
Yeah.
Because of some sort of status or something like that. It's just again like we're talking about with the history. Yeah. It's like the glass that you grew up around. It's not the glass. It's not about the glass.
It's about the people.
It's about your childhood and the connection that it has.
people that owned it and that you knew and that they liked it or they collected it and you grew up with it. And yeah,
Right.
it's just a part of your life.
Right.
It's like, I didn't know John Lennon, but his music was a big part. And when he got, killed, it was really impactful on, people in my generation and a lot, you just grew up with them. They were part of your life. Just, and I remember when it happened, people would say, oh, he's just a guitar player, the people that were older, or whatever.
Right, of course.
Oh yeah, he's just a guitar player.
It's easy to always say something is just this or whatever.
Yeah, that's the line. The first music I was really relating to when I was 13, 14, 15, my those teenage years, whatever's playing is big. When you're a teenager, it's always going to stick with you,
Right.
And back then it was even, in some ways more so because it was like one voice out there largely, and whatever was really big, it was big for everybody. Everybody knew the Beatles and heard all the Beatles songs, whether you wanted to or not, just like the big country songs.
Yeah. Yeah, music is a great example of that. I mean, I know that there's like certain bands or albums that I discovered at a certain type of time in my life.
Yeah.
And I found if I run into that type of time again, I go back to that stuff because it almost like helps me remember how I got through it before, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's it's a connection. Music really is a connection to the past.
It's one of the most powerful connections, more so than seeing something.
Yeah.
Visiting someplace back from when that song comes on, it takes you to those places and to those people.
Yeah, it does. The people that made it.
Yeah, well, no, it's people you're hanging out with at the time. And,
yeah, absolutely. Right. And then even like, going to see. That's one thing I always try to tell people. If you're a fan of something that whatever it is, a musician or a comedian or whatever, go see them while you can.
Yeah.
Because you never know how long that will be an opportunity.
That's right.
I got to see Norm Macdonald. That's no longer an opportunity.
That's right.
I got to see him live. I got to see ZZ Top before Dusty
that's
died.
right.
So I got to see ZZ Top with their all original members. I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's some other ones. There's probably a lot you've seen that are not like live events that are not an option anymore.
Oh yeah. And I didn't go to a lot of concerts though. We were not a big concert family, and just I don't know, just didn't do it. I remember.
I didn't either until I was older.
I can't believe. I remember when the Beatles came to Cincinnati, and I was, I don't know, what was I, 14 or I don't know. I was helping Dad. He was doing putting in a patio, doing some things, and I remember the big news that they were going to be there that day, and it was all over the radio and everything. And I don't know, I just wasn't wise.
Like, the Beatles, I got plenty of time to see them.
The Beatles, man. Yeah. I'll see them in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that would have been cool to have seen the Beatles. Led Zeppelin,
Yeah, time goes by, and and then they're not available. I tell you, that's not a little bit off topic, I guess. I tell you what's hit lately. I have gotten so many messages, or people have told me at meet and greets and different things. So many times it's we've been doing this so long now, like 17 years or something.
Yeah.
There's so many guys, and usually it's a guy. I mean, they watch, and it's so heartfelt, and so many messages like that. I used to watch your videos with my dad, and and we'd watch them together.
Yeah.
And he was really, he'd put me onto your videos. We'd watch them together, and often it was you could tell that he's really enjoyed watching the videos together.
Yeah.
And he's gone now. He died,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd really liked this video, and it's just it really it kind of hits you, just, the passing of time, and you just know they're just, it's heartfelt,
right?
And they come up to me and tell that same story sometimes. Gosh, you just, I feel almost responsible or something. It's really weird,
Yeah.
We can't afford to lose those fans.
I know we can't. Yeah.
Sorry to make light of it. I couldn't resist.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I mean, it really hits me hard. And of course, being me, I'm tempted to say that to them. Oh my God, we lost another subscriber.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't you have fed him better?
Yeah,
You know, but
yeah.
I mean, you know,
Try to keep his account going.
yeah, God, yeah. But it is,
It's crazy.
you know,
Well, and then
people are here and then they're gone. You know?
yeah, and then the more positive side of just really young kids watching our
Yeah,
videos, and they're like, whatever, 8, 9, 10 years old, and
yeah.
now they're like adults,
Oh, I get a lot of
married, have
that.
families, and
Yeah, that one more
big
than, of
gun
course, any of
collections.
them. Yeah, yeah. I've been watching since I was 10, literally, 12, and now I've got these guns. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get a message from and get several of these. Somebody in Alabama, down pretty far down, or Georgia, and their dad's a big fan, has been forever, and got a birthday, and if I can come down to the birthday party, I get those pretty often. You know, I mean, I am really torn. You know, I feel guilty for not doing that. You know, I just, you know, but anyway, I
yeah,
guess part of that is just as we know, we really appreciate people that watch the stupid videos.
yeah.
You know, it's not just being an act, because you get to shoot for a living. How many people get to do that?
Not me.
It's
Yeah.
like getting to play guitar for a living. You get to shoot for a living. You get to whatever it is that you really enjoy doing. If you get to do it for a living, man, you feel like you owe somebody. You know?
Oh yeah, a lot, everything.
Wow. You know?
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty crazy because yeah, I mean, when we first started doing it, it all happened so gradually
Yeah.
that just kind of got accustomed to it, and then it was then there was a point where it's like, oh, this is kind of wild that this
Kinda
became a real thing that we're doing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And that people really genuinely appreciate it, and
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
and still after all this time,
Yeah.
you
Yeah. 'Cause
know.
what lasts this long? You know?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're not may not be the top dog anymore, but we're
Oh
still up
man.
there, and people remember us, and you
Yeah.
know, and watch our videos, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. In a fickle world of the internet and of media, and you know,
It,
we still have,
and we've been
you
doing it
know,
the same way the whole time, and look at how much the world has
yeah, I
changed.
know.
You know,
The
well, like,
fact that anybody watches is a miracle. We don't even
yeah,
edit videos.
I know. We've been through. Look at all the presidents we've
Yeah, I
been through.
know. Well, I tell people that one reason that we've been able to do it this long is because partly the way we do it, and we just do what we enjoy doing. And as from the very first week, you know, it's just what feels right and what we enjoy doing and
Yeah,
the way we do it. And then, you know, if we had to do like 4 hours of editing on every video, you know, we'd have probably burned out a long time ago.
yeah. Yeah. I do hate that. That's the one thing that the to be negative for a second, but not about us, just about the internet in general. Is like I talk about this a lot with people. When we first got started, you know, what we were doing was couldn't have been any more in line with what people liked about the internet
Uh-huh.
at first, right? Because it was like TV. People were kind of getting burnt out on TV, being so over. Well, they weren't getting burnt out on TV until they saw that the internet was cool, and then it kind of like the internet was just like regular people making content,
Yeah.
you know, and then that was cool compared to what TV was doing, which is very manufactured and highly produced and all that kind of thing, you know. And the unfortunate reality is we've seen that kind of go away, which is what I do like about the way we've kind of kept things the same,
Yeah.
even if not everyone appreciates it, because now most content on the internet does feel more like TV.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
it does.
there's like a lot bigger money behind it. You know, you've got actual like production companies making a lot of stuff that are from TV. The TV and internet, you know, it's almost like the same thing now. It's kind of blended into one thing, and I feel like there's some of that has been lost.
Yeah.
You know, where it is actually harder now for more just kind of regular folks to
Yeah.
make content, because it is way more competitive with how much money is being dumped into it. And it always reminds me of, I remember you telling me this years ago about, you know, back when you used to shoot IPSC, and you said that one of the things that kind of got you out of it was how detailed everything became with all the equipment and all the gear and everything. Right. And I feel like that's a natural progression of almost every single thing in the universe.
It is race car driving or anything.
Whatever it is,
sure.
it starts out as this like simple kind of thing that a few people are doing. But then as it grows, it gets more and more competitive, which normally competition is good. But But the negative side of competition is that it almost changes what that thing is.
Yeah, because everybody's tweaking and tweaking and tweaking so they can get more competitive or get whatever.
Yeah,
get more
yeah.
attention, get more eyeballs. And,
Right. It kind of happens in comedy too, because so many jokes have been done.
yeah,
Right. That a lot of comedy now, you kind of have to be a storyteller, or you got to do something that's really unique and bizarre. Because kind of your normal type stuff has just been done to death.
yeah,
Right. So things kind of gradually get more and more and more complex
yeah,
until it finds maybe some kind of new way. So that's like one of the negative sides of kind of, I feel like, the state of YouTube
yeah.
now. But there's still a lot of great, good content being made. But
Yeah, fortunately, the interest in firearms is still very strong and always
stronger
will
all
be.
the time.
And
people who like firearms, I think, do appreciate realness.
I think that's the thing. That's still,
so we're in the right field for sure.
That's the kind of thing that we of course hopefully excel at. We're totally honest and we enjoy firearms and going to give honest opinions and whatever else the rest of the world is doing and however crazy it gets. But
Yep.
Interesting world. And the firearms, as I've always said, that they are the stars of the videos.
Right.
And we've always known that, and that's kind of the way it is.
Yep. Getting to be an early adopter in that world has been kind of fun, though.
Yeah.
With gun videos, I mean, look at how many gun channels there are now.
Oh, are there thousands probably?
Yeah.
It must be.
When we started, there was like a small handful.
Yeah, really.
I think Nothing Fancy kind of deserves the credit for being like the first.
Yeah.
There were people posting videos of guns, but as far as like actually trying to make kind of a show kind of thing,
kind of doing a review of it.
Yeah, he was kind of the first. He was. I think he deserves the credit to be the first guy who was doing that. And then we were one of the early ones that kind of we had a different way of doing things.
Right.
And
I had not seen his videos. We did those first.
No, we didn't know
which
about
was
him.
Probably a good thing. Didn't
it was
know about him
because we
might have tried to copy
right
whatever he was doing at the time.
It was so early on, we didn't even know anyone else was doing it.
Yeah.
Until we kind of were going for at least almost a year before we started to kind of realize like, okay, there's a few other people kind of doing something like this.
Almost didn't know it was a thing, because it almost wasn't.
It really wasn't. It hadn't been.
Yeah.
Because it was like around 2008 when we really kind of started to do it, and then that summer of 2009 was when we were really trying to make it something.
Yeah.
And YouTube didn't even exist. It was like the fall of 2005?
Yeah, it was like a year or two before we posted.
Yeah,
it.
and like no one knew about it until like 2006, 2007 is when some people started even like being aware that YouTube exists, much less gun content.
That's one of the things at the meet and greets, I'll say a few words, and I kind of, or whatever opportunities like I'll explain it. It's hard to imagine because now almost everybody and his brother is looking to do something on YouTube, possibly to generate a little extra income, just a creative outlet, an opportunity for me for a career, whatever you're doing, a sideline for your, gosh, there's so many attorneys, doctors, other people in every profession, financial world, they also have YouTube and they do some great videos and it's kind of a sideline. It's it brings more people into their business, whatever, really sharp. Everybody's doing it and they're making a little extra money doing it, whatever. And that was not even a thing. That it's hard to imagine that not even being a thing because you would normally think, well, how long have you been doing it? A long time. Yeah. Well, I guess when you were teaching, that'd be a way to generate a little extra money, huh? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know that.
I didn't know there was any money. We didn't even, not only that, we didn't even plan to do it very long, remember?
Right.
We had about 15 videos. We could do a video with the lever guns, the shotguns. We had them grouped up, had it written down.
It was kind of more, the mindset was like, oh, this is kind of a thing. Let's put our little stamp on it.
Yeah, like why not? We can give some information. We know a little bit about guns. Yeah.
Right. With no idea it could be like a continuing
it was
thing.
Almost, it was about 10 months, close to a year before I got that email about, would you like to be YouTube partners?
Yeah.
Remember about 1,000 subscribers, whatever point it was, and I remember eating lunch or dinner at that place by Centennial Park with your mother. And I told you, I got this email. I probably couldn't even show it to you unless I printed it out. I don't remember, but about YouTube partners. You know, and we talked about whether or not we'd want to allow banner ads on the videos.
That's
remember?
right. Yeah.
And we talked about, oh, yeah, I'll probably pay a quarter a month or something.
Yeah.
I probably might alienate.
It kind of was
you know,
at first.
yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that. But we decided we'd try it.
Yeah.
It was actually a little more that first month or two. I think it was like a few $100s.
Yeah, I think so.
We were surprised.
Yeah.
And then we thought, well, we can buy some ammo. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Do some more videos.
Yeah.
But it's just a totally different mindset.
Yeah.
And not that it was better or worse. It's just that now, if I was, I probably wouldn't start doing. I don't know. Maybe I would. But if we didn't do anything until now, and just say, you know what, we ought to do YouTube videos. We could maybe generate a little income and have a little fun. See other people do. Yeah, we might have that same mindset now with a motivation to just make a little money. We see these other guys doing this.
Absolutely.
But it was just so totally different back then.
And one thing I think I've brought this up many times that is kind of cool that shows like how long we've been around. If you notice, all the early YouTube channels, the names of their channel were very like email screen name type names. You know, like other than, obviously Hickok45, right? That just sounds like some sort of email or screen name you would have.
Yeah.
Another channel that shows you the age of it is Iraq veteran 8888.
That's right.
I love those guys. They make great videos, but that no one would just decide that name to make as a brand, right? It's just obvious that probably Eric or whatever just started that, just put that in there, you know? Such 00. He kind of looked out. That's a pretty good one.
That's right.
But a lot of those early guys, it was just some random thing. Whereas now it'll be like Bills, guns, and gear.
Yeah,
and,
some production, whatever. You
know? Yeah. So you can always tell.
Some TV. They're all
right. So you can always tell the older, channels because there's always be some name like that.
Yeah.
And there was a time when we were the biggest, and we've had different, ups and downs and different things. But there's one stat or credit or whatever you want to call it that I'm proud that we achieved that no one will ever take away from us because it was a snapshot in time. Is we were the first, because we were getting close to this, I was watching it very carefully. We were the first singular gun channel to ever reach 1 billion views.
Oh
yeah. We got to that first.
Yeah, it's a lot of views.
It is a lot.
A lot of people.
1 billion.
It is weird. That's why we get recognized some. You still forget. I forgot from the very beginning. You just kind of forget, But yeah, a lot of people watch gun videos.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Yep,
it's funny.
Well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. This has been fun.
All right.
Good to have you back on and getting this podcast rolling again. And speaking of sentimental, you notice I got the same old furniture from the old ones, same mics and everything.
Same ugly chairs, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Look like a cigar shop.
It does, yeah. I know. Yeah. So
well, good luck. Good to be back.
Yeah.
Glad you got the sandbags up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Get shot in the back here.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. We're good from this angle. Yeah. They're definitely not fake. They're definitely real sandbags.
Yeah, really. The M60 up there.
Yeah, it's funny. I've had people ask me before, like they don't get this. They'll be like, "What is that back? Is that like bags of grain?"
We're farmers.
It's like, how do you not understand? Like, come on, we're talking about guns, and they got the. Come on, how do you not figure that out?
Hey, a lot of people didn't know they get the Hickok45.
Oh
we
yeah.
did an FAQ on that. Remember?
A lot of people thought 45 was the year you were born. That's a common one.
That's right. And then not knowing even who Hickok is.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine, but
Yeah. Oh, I get weird stuff all the time. I saw a comment recently on one of the videos on one of the channels, not the main Hickok45 channel, and this guy was like accusing me of cop. He's like, why are you trying to be Hickok45? Are you copying him or whatever? Or I've had stuff like, does Hickok45 know you're shooting at his range? Just like stuff like that. They don't know that I'm your son, so they're just like, who is this guy? Who's he think he is?
That's funny. Well, speaking of imposters, don't you love that? They, the scams on there's apparently someone set up Hickok45 on TikTok, and is offering people text me whatever you want a gun. That's going around a lot. I'm hearing people falling for it, you know, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just bizarre. I've never even been on TikTok.
Yeah, I don't have TikTok. I'm staying away from it.
Yeah, me too. I don't.
Yeah.
And the other Snapchat and what's that other one? Instagram, not Instagram, but Telegram. You know that those for I don't even know anything about those platforms. My impression is that they are scam platforms because it seems like all the scams come from there. But I guess they're not.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. The only ones Instagram, Facebook a little bit, Instagram and YouTube. Yeah. And I'm really hoping that Elon Musk expands X to be like a video sharing site and some different things. I'd like to, do some stuff with that.
Yeah, with more freedom.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
But one thing about last time with those scams and imposters, all that sort of thing. Of course, one thing about being pretty consistent with what you do, people that have some common sense should realize that's not us. Doing something, like contacting somebody through a text that, hey, you won something, come and get it. Something I never mentioned that in a Sunday video where I talk, every week, and you'd think I might mention, hey, we got a contest going on.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's funny. It reminds me real quick. I think so. Dave Chappelle was this obviously superstar for a while, and then he just kind of like disappeared. It's a long story, but you can look into it. But he disappeared for a while, and then when he came back into the limelight, he was on. I can't remember if it was Conan or Jimmy Fallon, but he was telling this story about how when he came back, he decided to set up a Twitter account. And we're talking, this has been like 10 years ago now or something like that. He was setting up a Twitter account and he tried to set up like his name, and he got a message that said, sorry, you can't use celebrity names.
That's great. Oh yeah. I thought you were going to tell the story I was telling you. I heard he had a same kind of, I can't remember the other comic's name, but it was even funnier. But yeah, because he had set up he saw a fake account set up by somebody. It turned out it was really, like same kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
What the store, how it went exactly.
Yeah, it's one of Dave Chappelle's bit. It was Cat Williams. Dave Chappelle and Cat Williams. They had like an argument online, and he was afraid that Cat Williams thought it was him.
Yeah.
And he ran into Cat Williams like in person, and he was like telling him like, hey, that wasn't me. And then Cat Williams was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it wasn't even him.
It wasn't him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That is funny.
It is.
And some of that, on some of these, I hear about, the Hickok45 setup sometimes, we do have some prominence, of course. I think there are people that do it innocently. They'll set up, some.
They're trying to make like a fan page.
They say I'm like Hickok40. It's a kind of a compliment, in a way. They're not trying to come off as pose as us, But again, I say that when I was teaching in the early days of widespread email. I was using it long before that, but I had a student fake my email name, and it was a scary thing, for various reasons. And everything, and same old deal though. And I announce all the students, if you ever get an email from me, that doesn't sound like something I would say, be wise. Let me know for one thing. But as long as you're consistent in your behavior and you're not a total idiot, people are going to know that's not Hickok. He wouldn't do that. You would hope almost anybody. That's the reaction you would get if you saw something. One of our viewers or whoever, you see something from something that's supposed to be from a friend of yours or whoever that and it just doesn't sound right. Well, maybe it's not from them.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You hope. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again.
All right.
We'll do it again.
To be here.
Do it again sometime.
Take care.
All right. See you guys.
Bye-bye.